Hello, everyone. My name is Jana Nováková, and I'm Senior Immigration Specialist with Deloitte. Welcome to our webcast on COVID-19 and its impact on traveling and foreigners. Today's webcast is in 3 languages. The first one is in English, that's starting now. Then in 10:20, we will have the same webcast in Russian language, and in 10:40 in Japanese language. So if you want to listen to any of those languages, please come back at 10:20 or 10:40. If you will have any questions during the webcast, please send them through the chat, and we will try to answer them. If we won't have time to answer them during the webcast, we will definitely get back to them after the webcast, and we will send you an email. So feel free to send any messages. Okay, so I think that we can start. Can you please put me next slide? So you can see me as the English speaker for today, and then the girls for Russian and Japanese versions. Okay, please, next slide. So first, we will cover conditions for traveling in and out of the Czech Republic. So we can go to next slide. And we will cover first traveling to the Czech Republic. It's actually quite quite difficult topic, and there are a lot of groups, lot of categories, lot of different measures for different national, different time of spent in the Czech Republic, and so on. Definitely the best thing to do is to always check the website of Ministry of Interior, where there is always updated chart that covers who can travel to the Czech Republic, for how long, if he needs any PCR test or other measures. It's important to make difference between short-term stay and long-term stay, and also to make difference between new arrivals and past residents. On the website of Ministry of Interior, there is the chart that one of them covers the new arrivals and the other one the past residents, so already foreigners that hold some kind of permit and are returning to the Czech Republic. There are different groups, and it's definitely the best to always check if you are interested in any nationality or any length of stay, to always check what measures are for that person in the chart. There are 3 measures that can be taken. It can be the PCR test. So for example, third country nationals, mostly the PCR test is required. Without that, they cannot enter Czech Republic. And it has to be the original PCR test, not some other different test. And the confirmation cannot be older than 4 days, or the test cannot be older than 4 days prior to the entry to the Czech Republic. The other measure can be the restriction of free movement in the Czech Republic, which is for 14 days. And the foreigner then needs to stay at home and only travel to work, to arrange basic vital needs and other issues. And the third one is obligatory quarantine measures, which is in accordance to Act number 258/2000, and it covers what are the requirements of the quarantine. So these are the 3 measures that have to be taken into account, and the chart on the Ministry of Interior always states which of these is required for that specific nationality and length of stay and type of travel. So we can go to the next slide, and we will cover the traveling out of the Czech Republic. Czech Republic is introducing this beautiful traffic light in Czech called semaphore of safety of other countries. This will come into force on June 15th, and it might be changing. It's flexible, so it might be changing during the next days. We are of course expecting that we will have more green countries, and that the measures will be getting better and better, and the traveling will be more and more possible. On this map, you can see that there are green countries, orange countries, and red countries. It states, for one thing, where Czech citizens and foreigners can travel out of the Czech Republic without any measures. So to the green countries, it's possible to travel without any PCR test, without anything, and it's possible to return back to Czech Republic, and you don't need any PCR test or quarantine measures or anything. For the orange countries, no test is needed for for traveling out of the Czech Republic, but the test is needed for tourists coming to the Czech Republic from these countries. So, for example, if a French person is traveling to the Czech Republic, the test is needed or quarantine measures need to be taken. Then we have two countries currently, Sweden and the United Kingdom, where even people traveling from the Czech Republic need to have a test, and if they're returning, they also need to have test, and or they need to go to the quarantine. We've been told, and it's also, if you will check any of the articles on the internet, that this will be changing. It's also already possible to check on many websites how it possibly will be changing in the next days, how other countries will be put on the green list. So we are hoping that traveling will be more and more possible during the summer. Yeah, I think that it's covering the traveling out of the Czech Republic, and we can move to the next topic. So next we will cover Czech embassies abroad. Czech embassies have been closed for the state of emergency, and now they are slowly reopening, but some of them are remaining closed, and those that are reopened, they don't have all agenda working as before all this situation with COVID. So here you can see that there are embassies with renewed agenda. We have mentioned the biggest ones and the ones that we experience that most people are traveling from. So there's Japan, there's Korea, there's China, and other. And we can see that some agenda is back in operation. As all applications that were submitted before the state of emergency were suspended for the duration of the state of emergency, those are now back in continuance. So all these interrupted proceedings are again ongoing. So we can expect that applications submitted at these embassies before the state of emergency might be hopefully approved soon. It's also possible with the approved application, for example, for some kind of residency permit, to go to the embassy and get the visa label issued, or if some individual has long-term visa or short-term visa, they can also go there and get the label printed in the passport. Also, Schengen visa application submission is reopened for some kind of applications. It's still not possible to travel to the Czech Republic based on non-visa stay. So if a Japanese person would like to travel to the Czech Republic with no visa, it's still not possible yet. Also, it's possible to go to the embassy to submit a long-term visa application or long-term residency permit application for the programs, for the programs that you have mentioned here, the key workers personal program, highly qualified personal program, qualified personal program, for family reunification, studies, and other. Some embassies are still closed. You can see it's Russia, it's Philippines, India, Britain, and we don't know, unfortunately, yet when these will reopen. But we are hoping that soon, but we don't know in what measures they will reopen, if it will be possible to do the agenda that is mentioned above, or if the operation will be much smaller or bigger. So this is to be decided, and if you have, of course, any national from these countries waiting to submit an application or to travel to the Czech Republic, it's always best to check the website of the Czech embassy abroad. They usually have all information there, and it's usually with current information. So it's always best to check. Of course, the same goes to the embassies that are already open. Always it's best to check if it's possible really to go there to proceed with any operation listed here. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the situation in the Czech Republic during the state of emergency has been also a bit interrupted for the immigration agenda. All of the immigration offices were partly closed, or some of them were even closed for the whole duration of the state of emergency. It was not possible to do any agenda on these on some of those immigration offices, and now they are reopened, but they are also quite busy because during the state of emergency, as it was not possible to cover some biometrics appointment and so on, it's happening now, so it's quite difficult to get an appointment at the immigration offices currently. During the state of emergency, it was of course possible that some foreigners had their permits expire, and it's still possible for them to legally stay in the Czech Republic for more 60 days from the end of the emergency regime, which was the middle of May. So until July 16th, they have extended the expiry of their permits. So of course, if this is happening to any of you or any of your employees, we definitely recommend to submit the application for extension as soon as possible. It's currently not possible to visit immigration offices without a scheduled appointment unless for very urgent matters or some exceptions, as issuing the bridging label if you need to travel or if you need it for some other purpose, for issuance of then departure order, submission of an application for a child born within the territory, and some other exceptions. For all other agenda, it's only possible to visit the immigration offices with scheduled appointment. During the state of emergency, the immigration offices have declared that it's possible to submit some of the applications that normally require presence at the office to do it remotely by post or by data box. Currently, this goes to submission of application for extension of permanent residence permit. So if anyone needs to get extended permanent residency permit, it's possible to do that remotely. Also, it's possible for a lot of other agenda. It's all listed here, so I will just cover a few of those. Usually, it's required to visit the immigration office personally for change of marital status, for change of travel documents, to submit an application for long-term residence permit, for permanent residence, temporary residence. All these always require presence at the office, but currently it's still possible to submit these applications remotely. So we would definitely recommend doing that. It's much easier than to book the appointment at the immigration office, and it will also help to keep the immigration offices not that busy. So we would definitely recommend that. If the application is sent by data box, it has to be sent from either personal data box or from the company's data box to the data box of Ministry of Interior. And it's possible that in some cases that the immigration office will require some personal attendance after the after they will postpone this remotely possible submission of applications, but this will be up to the immigration offices to see later on. Also, for foreigners that are starting in the Czech Republic, starting working in the Czech Republic based on the employee card, usually they need to go to the immigration office and to get the biometrics taken, and then they receive confirmation of fulfilling the requirements for issuance of employee card. As it's not always possible now to get the biometrics appointment in time for the foreigner to start working, the immigration office has declared that it's possible to get the confirmation via data box. So we would definitely recommend asking the immigration office through data box to get this issued, and that will help for the foreigner to be able to start working legally from the day that he or she intends to. Currently, we have requested this confirmation from the authority a few times. Not all the times we have received the confirmation back. So I cannot say that it's definitely working, but we would definitely recommend to try that. So this is the current situation at the Czech immigration offices. If you will have any questions about this or about the Czech embassies or about the traveling in and out of the Czech Republic, please put them in the chat, and I can actually check now if there are some that I could answer now. Let me please just check because there are more of them. Okay, so there is a question about a colleague, a French colleague who will be traveling to France for family, and in 2 or 3 weeks he will be traveling back to Czech Republic. Currently, it should be as the semaphore says that he would not need the test, but we would definitely recommend to check how it will look in 2 or 3 weeks, because it's possible that it will change. It might change for better, or it might change for worse. Currently, the PCR test would not be required, and if it would be required, there could be also always the possibility to go to the quarantine and get tested here. Okay, so there's a question about traveling to from outside EU because it's not included in the semaphore. No, it's not, and it also depends. As with the semaphore, it depends on the other countries too. The semaphore is only for traveling within EU. From other countries, it's currently possible to travel to the Czech Republic. For example, for Japanese nationals, it's possible to travel to the Czech Republic, but PCR test is required for newcomers, and it's always best to check if you have someone traveling outside from EU, or traveling to the Czech Republic from outside of EU, or traveling to the Czech Republic of outside of EU, to always check with that country, because it's possible to travel from Czech Republic but not back to Czech Republic. So we would definitely recommend checking that on the website of Ministry of Interior before any travel. So there are some other questions which we will not be able to cover now, as in 1 minute the Russian version of the webcast is starting. So thank you everyone for joining the English version. If you will have any other questions, please send the messages there to the chat, and good luck with any traveling outside and inside of the Czech Republic. Thank you.